By 11:52 p.m., the temperature outside had fallen to minus 28 degrees Fahrenheit. Inside the abandoned freight railcar at the edge of the frozen rail yard, the air had grown so cold it felt almost gentle. That's the dangerous part about extreme cold. First it bites, then it burns, then it numbs. And when it numbs, it lies to you. Because when your body starts to feel warm in that kind of cold, it means it's shutting down. Daniel knew that, not from experience, but from a survival documentary he once watched late at night when life was still normal. And now, as Myra's trembling slowed beside him, he felt a wave of fear colder than the steel walls around them. "Don't fall asleep," he whispered. Outside, the blizzard howled across the empty rail yard, piling snow against the railcar's rusted body. Inside, two people pressed together for warmth, because they had nothing else. No heat, no electricity, no insulation beyond scrap wood and cardboard. It was Valentine's Day, and this frozen steel box was their entire world. But what neither of them realized was that the snow burying them alive was also the reason they would survive the night. The railcar hadn't always felt like a trap. When Daniel first found it 4 months earlier, it felt like opportunity. Abandoned on a forgotten siding track, wheels rusted solid, doors stiff but workable. It was steel, solid, dry inside, better than sleeping under bridges, better than overstaying welcome on couches, better than pretending everything was fine. He spent days cleaning it, scraping ice, dragging out old debris, sealing small gaps with scrap metal sheets and duct tape. Steel conducts heat nearly 50 times faster than wood. He didn't know the number back then. He just knew the walls felt like ice at night. So he improvised. Cardboard layered against steel creates trapped air pockets. Air is a poor conductor of heat. That meant insulation. Not good insulation, but something. They nailed scrap plywood against one wall, hung blankets over the door seams, found old foam padding behind a warehouse dumpster. Each layer created resistance. Each layer slowed heat transfer just a little. It wasn't comfort. It was survival physics in motion. And in winter, physics decides who stays warm. On the morning of Valentine's Day, the sky was pale and heavy. The kind of sky that feels like it's waiting. Daniel checked the weather forecast on his cracked phone. Major system moving in. Wind advisory. Blizzard warning. Temperature drop. He didn't say how bad it looked. Mira already knew. She'd grown up in colder places. Cold isn't just temperature. Cold is exposure. Wind strips heat from skin through convection. It pulls away the thin layer of warmth your body tries to maintain. At minus 28 degrees Fahrenheit, exposed skin can freeze in under 15 minutes. Inside steel, that timeline shortens, because steel pulls warmth away through conduction. Your body loses heat in 4 ways: conduction, convection, radiation, evaporation. Inside the railcar, they were fighting all 4. And they were doing it with blankets and hope. They hadn't meant to end up here. 2 years earlier, Valentine's Day meant takeout pizza and cheap wine. They'd laugh at couples who spent too much. They liked being simple. Then came layoffs. The factory cut half its workforce. Daniel's name was on the list. Rent climbed. Savings thinned. Pride delayed asking for help. Temporary fixes became long-term realities. And slowly, quietly, they crossed a line they never thought they would. They didn't fight each other. That's what surprised them. Stress usually fractures. But somehow they bent instead of broke. Still, there were nights Mira stared at the steel ceiling and wondered, is this enough? Is love enough? That question feels romantic in movies. In freezing metal boxes, feels terrifying. That morning, Daniel handed her a small wooden carving. Rough edges, splintered corner. 2 words burned into scrap wood with a heated nail. Still us. She ran her thumb over the uneven letters. He'd stayed up carving it after she fell asleep. He couldn't afford roses, but he could give effort. Effort is warmth in its own way. Happy Valentine's Day, he said quietly. Outside, wind began to rise. Inside, something steadied. By late afternoon, the wind shifted direction. That's when storms get serious. Snow began to move horizontally. The rail yard disappeared into white blur. Daniel stepped outside to reinforce the door. The cold hit his lungs like glass. Breathing at -20 degrees Fahrenheit burns the airway. Tiny blood vessels constrict to conserve heat. Hands lose dexterity first. He worked fast. Inside, Mira layered newspapers beneath their blankets. Paper traps air. Air traps heat. Improvised insulation. At 7 p.m., they lit the camping stove. Small blue flame. Propane fuel nearly empty. The flame provided radiant heat. Radiation warms objects directly in its path. They sat close. But radiant heat doesn't warm air evenly. And once the flame dies, the temperature drops fast. At 9 p.m., the power grid failed. Town went dark. Phones lost signal. They were alone. By 10:30 p.m., the stove began sputtering. Each flicker felt like a countdown. When it finally died, the silence felt loud. Now the railcar relied solely on body heat. The average human body produces about 100 watts of heat at rest. Two bodies pressed together can share warmth through conduction. Layering blankets reduces convective heat loss. Curling inward reduces exposed surface area. These are survival strategies, not romance. But that night, they became both. Myra's hands began shaking uncontrollably. That's stage 1 hypothermia. Shivering increases muscle activity. Muscle activity produces heat. It's the body's desperate attempt to survive. Daniel wrapped both of them tightly, chest to chest, legs intertwined. They slowed their breathing, minimized movement. Movement increases convective heat loss. Stillness conserves. Snow piled against the railcar, and something remarkable happened. The snow formed a barrier. Snow contains trapped air, and trapped air insulates. The more snow piled, the more it shielded them from wind. Wind is the true killer. Wind strips warmth rapidly. With wind blocked, internal heat loss slowed. They didn't know it yet, but the storm itself was building them a protective cocoon. Around midnight, Mira stopped shivering. That terrified Daniel, because when shivering stops before warmth returns, it means core temperature is dropping dangerously. He lifted her face gently. "Stay with me." Her voice was faint. "I'm here." He told her stories. About the apartment balcony. About the pizza place. About someday owning a house with real walls. He spoke because silence invites sleep. Sleep invites hypothermia. She pressed her forehead against his. Their breath condensed between them. Moisture increases heat loss through evaporation. So they tucked their faces into fabric. Conserved warmth. Minutes felt like hours. Outside, the storm peaked. Then, gradually, it softened. Morning light seeped through a crack. Daniel carefully pushed at the door. Snow collapsed inward. Bright, blinding, but silent. The town was buried. Cars vanished. Roofs sagging. Power lines down. But the railcar still stood. Inside, the temperature had never dropped low enough to freeze them completely. Because their bodies produced heat. Blankets reduced convection. Snow blocked wind. Air pockets formed insulation. Improvised physics saved them. But physics alone doesn't keep people awake at midnight. Connection does. Mira stepped into the snow. Her legs weak. She looked at Daniel. "We made it." He nodded. "Still us." They had no flowers. No candlelight dinners. No perfect social media posts. But they had shared warmth. Shared fear. Shared breath. Shared survival. That spring, when Daniel found part-time work and they moved into a small basement apartment, the first thing he hung above the bed was that carved piece of wood. Still us. Because sometimes love isn't proven in comfort. It's proven in cold. Sometimes it isn't about gifts. It's about refusing to let go. When the world freezes around you. And on the coldest Valentine's night of their lives, steel walls and snow drifts try to break them. But heat is stubborn. And so is love. If this story reminded you that love is more than roses and dinner reservations, if you believe survival sometimes looks like holding someone closer instead of giving up, Take a moment and like this video. And if you enjoy cinematic survival stories rooted in real human resilience, subscribe, because the warmest stories are often born in the coldest nights.